In the winter of 610, soldiers stormed Castle ČACHTICE in Hungary. They had received reports of screams, of missing girls, of something unspeakable happening inside the stone walls. What they found was a nightmare. In the dungeons, they discovered young women chained to walls. Bodies of others lay decomposing in storage rooms. And in the private chambers of the castle's owner, they found instruments of torture, whips, knives, heated irons. The owner was not a warlord, not a mercenary. She was a noblewoman, Countess Elizabeth Bathory, one of the wealthiest, most powerful women in Hungary, and she had been torturing and murdering young women for years. The official count was 80 victims, but witnesses claimed the true number was over 600. This is the story of the Blood Countess. Elizabeth Bathory was born in 1560 into one of the most powerful families in Hungary. She was educated, literate in multiple languages, beautiful, wealthy. At 15, she married Ferenc Nadasdy, a military commander known as the Black Knight of Hungary. They lived in ČACHTICE Castle, a remote fortress in the Carpathian Mountains. For years, Elizabeth played the role of a respectable noblewoman. She managed estates, raised children, corresponded with scholars. But after her husband died in 1604, something changed. With no one to restrain her, Elizabeth's cruelty began to emerge. Servants whispered about her temper, about girls who entered her service and were never seen again, about screams in the night. For years, rumours spread. But Elizabeth was untouchable. She was nobility. She was wealthy, and she was protected by powerful relatives. The torture began with peasant girls. Elizabeth would invite young women to work as servants in her castle, promising good wages. Once inside, they were trapped. According to trial testimonies from her accomplices, Elizabeth and her servants would beat the girls with clubs and whips, burn them with hot irons, stick needles into their flesh, freeze them in courtyards during winter. Some victims were starved, others were mutilated. The suffering could last for days. When the girls died, their bodies were buried in secret locations, dumped in rivers, hidden in grain storage pits. For years, Elizabeth targeted only peasants, people no one would miss. But eventually, she made a mistake. She began taking daughters of minor nobility, girls whose families had connections, girls whose disappearances could not be ignored. In 1610, King Matthias II ordered an investigation. Count György Thurzó, the Palatine of Hungary, led a raid on ČACHTICE Castle. What they found confirmed the worst rumours. Living victims, fresh corpses, evidence of years of torture. Elizabeth's 4 main accomplices were arrested and put on trial. They confessed under torture. They described the killings in horrifying detail. One servant, Ilona Jo, claimed that Elizabeth kept a journal listing over 650 victims. The journal was never found. The accomplices were executed. Some were burned alive. Others were beheaded. But Elizabeth herself was never formally tried. She was too powerful. Her family had too much influence. A public trial would have embarrassed the Hungarian nobility. Instead, she was sentenced to house arrest. She was walled up in her own castle. Masons bricked up the windows and doors of her chambers, leaving only small slits for food and air. Elizabeth Bathory spent the last 4 years of her life in that sealed room, alone, in darkness, with no human contact except the guards who passed food through the wall. She died in 1614. She was 54 years old. Her body was buried in an unmarked grave. The legend that she bathed in the blood of virgins to maintain her youth is exactly that. A legend. It appeared in later